Dear ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, we are meeting within the framework of the Global Atomic Forum. I am glad to welcome the heads of state and heads of international organizations here, and I hope that together we will be able to discuss in detail issues related to the present and future of the nuclear industry. Such a dialogue is especially important in an environment where more and more countries and large companies see peaceful atom as the most important energy resource for long-term accelerated development. Society's attitude towards nuclear energy as an environmentally friendly technology, which opens up huge opportunities, is also being consistently formed. Obviously, there are fundamental reasons for this paradigm shift, and these are not only reliable solutions, on the basis of which advanced nuclear power units are created. Another important thing is that a fundamentally new technological order is emerging. Artificial intelligence is being introduced everywhere, and significant energy resources are required to process huge amounts of data. Thus, in the current decade alone, the consumption of electricity by data centers will more than triple. In this regard, I would like to note that Russia is already creating such modular data processing systems at its nuclear power plants, since nuclear power plants are the best way to ensure uniform and constant power supply.
Другой значимый фактор всплеска интереса к атомной энергетике – это востребованность так называемых.
Another significant factor in the surge in interest in nuclear energy is the demand for so-called green technologies that minimize the impact on the environment and climate. And, I repeat, nuclear power plants are the key source of clean, low-carbon energy. They are ahead of other energy sources in terms of price, environmental component, and the ability to provide stable energy capacity. As a result, by the middle of the century, according to the IAEA forecast, the total capacity of all nuclear power plants in the world may increase by more than 2.5 times and amount to almost 1,000 gigawatts. Moreover, the growth in demand for peaceful atom will be largely ensured by the countries of the global south and east, which are strengthening their technological and industrial potential. We certainly support the pursuit of development and the use of peaceful nuclear energy for these purposes. It is not without pride that today only Russia has the competencies in the entire technological chain of nuclear energy. And due to their safety and resistance to external influences, nuclear power plants built according to Russian design are the most in demand in the world. I would also like to add that we are developing projects for small onshore and floating nuclear power plants. The head of Rosatom has just told us during the inspection of the Atom Museum exhibition, we will be mass producing them very soon. Our principled approach is the key to Russia's leadership. First of all, we strictly fulfill our contractual obligations, and I want to emphasize this. We strictly fulfill everything, regardless of any political situation. Secondly, we reject the so-called technological colonialism. That is, we do not make our partners dependent on Russian technical solutions, but, on the contrary, we help to create our own sovereign national nuclear industry, including personnel training and the formation of competence centers. We actively involve local companies, provide assistance in the operation of power units, ensure the supply of nuclear fuel and waste management. I will say more. We share our experience and knowledge in creating other advanced industries of the 21st century, such as nuclear medicine, digital systems, electric transport, and new materials. As a result, we are helping our partners make a real leap in development, bring the economy to a new level of efficiency, and ultimately improve people's quality of life. All this is an important social dimension of our work, a visible confirmation that it is equal access to technology, including in the field of peaceful nuclear energy, that can ensure dynamic, fair, and sustainable global development. Dear colleagues, We consider peaceful atom technologies as a basis for broad international cooperation and for bringing states closer together. Russia is interested in creating stable long-term conditions for nuclear projects. First of all, ensuring nuclear safety and physical protection of nuclear facilities and installations, wherever these facilities are located, is an absolute priority for our country. Therefore, it is necessary to further increase the requirements for safety and reliability at every stage of the nuclear cycle, including uranium mining, reactor operation, spent nuclear fuel, and radioactive waste management. Moreover, it is necessary to adjust regulation in this area in such a way as to maintain a well-balanced balance between the development of the peaceful atom and the strengthening of the nuclear non-proliferation regime. Further, it is obvious that the construction of nuclear power plants requires significant funds, which means that the risks and benefits must be balanced between the main participants in such project states, investors and consumers. I consider it necessary to build modern models of financing the construction of nuclear power plants to involve international financial institutions and development banks in such projects. In this regard, I would like to add that at the beginning of this year, the new development bank, created by the BRICS countries, confirmed its readiness to finance nuclear projects, and at the end of last year, at the initiative of Russia, a mechanism for coordinating the efforts of the BRICS countries was created, the Atomic Energy Platform. The most important issue is the resource provision of nuclear power plants for decades to come. Fundamentally new, more efficient technologies are needed to use peaceful atom in the long term, and Russia is already working on developing such solutions. Just before the start of this session, my colleagues and I sat and exchanged opinions with each other in an informal manner before coming out here. In this regard, I would also like to note that, according to the OIT estimates, under an optimistic scenario, all uranium resources will be completely exhausted by 2090. That's about 8 million tons. However, in fact, this may happen as early as the 2060s. That is, it's all very fast. All this can happen before our eyes. Given that a quarter of the reserves are in deposits where uranium is an associated component, as early as 2030 now I'm coming to the main thing, which I think Russia can be proud of. We in Russia, in the Tomsk region, plan to launch the world's first nuclear power system with a closed fuel cycle. What does it mean? This is in the full sense a revolutionary development of Russian scientists and engineers. What does it mean? This means that almost the entire volume, 5% of the spent fuel, will be repeatedly used in reactors again. Such a mechanism will make it possible in the future to almost completely solve the problem of the accumulation of radioactive waste and, most importantly, to eliminate the issue of uranium security. I would like to note that tests of the entire range of advanced materials for a closed cycle are planned on the basis of the International Research Center. It is being formed in the Ulyanovsk region in Russia, and we invite scientists from different countries to cooperate in the development of technologies that open up a new, without any exaggeration, a new era in nuclear energy. Dear friends, our meeting and the Global Atomic Forum were timed to coincide with two significant dates at once. This is the 80th anniversary of the Russian nuclear industry, celebrated this year, as well as the Day of the Nuclear Industry Worker, which is celebrated annually in our country on September 28th. Let me remind you that my colleagues and I have just talked about this, and I repeat it again, and would like to say in a broader context. The first decision in the Soviet Union on the development of nuclear energy took place on September 28, 1942, when the Great Patriotic War was underway, and the results of perhaps the most traumatic period of the Great Patriotic War were not yet known. The Battle of Stalingrad was underway. The battle for Stalingrad It is not ended, and the State Defense Committee has decided to organize work on uranium. The work has begun. I would like to sincerely congratulate Russian nuclear scientists, industry veterans, and, of course, the guests of the forum on the anniversary of the industry and the upcoming professional holiday, and in your person, specialists from the former republics of the USSR, who are united by the traditions of the great Soviet Ministry of Environment. They must definitely be continued. I wish you new great successes for the benefit of the citizens of our countries and, without exaggeration, of all mankind. Thanks for your attention.